Welcome back, nerds. Fino here with a guide for Kyokutei Bakin. She's a 5-star limited rider introduced in the Nanmei Yumihari 8-Dog Chronicles event, but being a new 5-star at this time of year is a perilous proposition. Does Bakin have what it takes to become a worthwhile detour? Let's find out. The first of Bakin's skills is Svabaha. I think that's how you say it. This is a 30% battery for her that splashes a fixed 10% onto everyone else. Also a 15-star dump. You'll want to max this out along with her starting charge append for access to an immediate 50% at the start of a fight. Next up, we've got 8 Benevolences and Righteousness. This is a targeted buff package with 3 turn offensive buffs: Arts, Quick, Buster, Crit, and NP damage. It also has a 1k heal, 1-hit evade, and 1-time debuff immunity. If you're using Bakin as an attacker, it obviously goes on to her, but being able to target it does give her some esports potential. You can ascend her once to get this skill, and then stick a Tansi E on her or something. The buffs are generic, but the fact that you get so many of them is nice. Unfortunately, charge isn't one of them, so you are giving up flexibility on that front. The last of Bakin's regular skills is Lost in Writing. It's a 3-turn arts buff with an on-hit component. Every time Bakin strikes with an arts card, it increases your party's attack. The bad news is that it's a paltry 5% per instance. The good news is that this works on a noble phantasm. Speaking of which, Nanso Satomi 8-Dog Chronicles is an AoE arts attack with a paltry star dump and a preemptive anti-demonic buff. This has a fixed 30% magnitude, but lasts for the entire turn, letting you cash in with Bakin's face cards. For instance, you can initiate a Brave Chain with this, or once we get the update, an NP Quick Buster Mighty Chain. Its overcharge effect is anti-evil damage. This part carries a much more substantial magnitude, but only applies to this noble phantasm. You can double whammy enemies that are both demonic and evil, but aligning this list with a rider class produces a pretty small pool of worthy foes. Onikure is the only caster that fits this bill, but you also have some choice berserkers with Ibaraki, Kyokoyo, and Duryodhana. While that might be a little disheartening, Bakin's NP focuses on the evil half of that equation, so I'm sure you'll find some casters to bully. With an AoE Arts Noble Phantasm, you're probably wondering how well Bakin loops. Well, she's no Da Vinci. Recurring flat charge is a tough act to beat, but Bakin does have an advantage in the damage department, and this is against a neutral target. If one of her anti-buffs comes into play, you're obviously in the clear. But if you're in the market for a generalist farmer, you're probably better off just waiting for one of the big fish coming our way. For 90++ applications though, Bakin doesn't seem like a bad deal at all. Even if it's just 10%, splashing charge is potentially useful. So is the targeted buff if the trash mobs are soft enough that Bakin can clear them without committing it. Fun little optimization, by the way. If you draw any of Bakin's arts cards, you can chain them in front of your NP for the turn to rack up that attack bonus. Just make sure you don't KO the mobs or your refund's gonna get ugly. Now, an ideal setup wouldn't involve face cards like this, but you work with what you got. If you're wondering how Bakin compares to Habitrot, she overtakes an NP5 Habanyan at NP2, so if you intend to use Bakin for anything besides esports, you'll want a second copy. But on the subject of esports, there's a scenario where you might actually get some use out of her Bond Craft Essence. This little number grants anti-demonic and evil buffs to your frontline. She needs to be alive for it to work, but you can still use this to smooth out your early turn damage before rotating in someone with more substantial buffs. Another funny trick is to call up our friend, the younger Moriarty. He applies the evil alignment on his noble phantasm, so chaining his NP into Bakin's can create an opening for you to really lay into your target. Now, it occurred to me that you could apply this to a demonic servant to create a double whammy, but I regret to inform you that the pool of demonic servants is fairly small to begin with, and a lot of the ones Bakin would headhunt are already evil. The only notable addition for her is Summer Ibuki Doji, whose alignment is chaotic summer otherwise. Aside from her, you get the 2 Tomoes, the other Ibuki, Kichi Hogen, Taisui, and Lambdarillis. You'd want alternate anti-demonic attackers for those, on account of their classes. Taken in a vacuum, Kyokutei Bakin is quite decent and has some legitimate niches, but the fact of the matter is that we have an absolute avalanche of high-value servants on the horizon. Unless you have a particular interest in Bakin, I'd hold off. She's not bad, far from it, but she has the misfortune of being a good servant in a year of great servants. Now that I've said that, I bet she's gonna get buffed just like Constantine and Don Quixote. How about I get a Moriarty buff instead? No? Fuck. Well, thanks for watching, lads. I'm still in catch-up mode, so I'll have to delay the return of the history segments for a little longer. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed this leaner servant guide. Like if you found it helpful, subscribe for more, and come watch me at twitch.tv/Finotaisen where I stream every week, 3 p.m. Pacific time. We've got another double FGO weekend, Friday and Sunday. I'll be rolling for Bakin herself on Sunday. On Saturday, I'll be playing Teamfight Tactics with my subscribers, so stop on by if you want to see that in action. Till next time.